N-acetylcysteine is a precursor to glutathione, and I mentioned it in my video about glutathione that one way to increase your glutathione levels is to supplement with N-acetylcysteine. And that is preferable to supplementing directly with glutathione because glutathione's bioavailability absorption is very low. Most of it gets destroyed before it's really taken up where you need it. Now, N-acetylcysteine, on the other hand, is taken up extremely well, and it leads to a measurable increase in glutathione levels. So I think this is a very good way to get more glutathione. Why is glutathione important? Again, I mentioned this in the other video. Very important antioxidant. It's sort of the master antioxidant that your body has. It's a free radical scavenger. It's a heavy metal chelator. It has a lot of positive functions that can greatly contribute to our health. But in the context here of this video, I want to talk a bit about N-acetylcysteine and its role in really psychiatric disorders. We're talking about mood disorders. We're talking about schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorder, and so on. And there are a lot of disorders where it's postulated that adding N-acetylcysteine, this supplement, can be very helpful with those disorders. Now, also, a lot of people are warning about something called a blunted affect or flat affect. And that's something that can also happen when you take N-acetylcysteine regularly. So whenever we influence neurotransmitters, whenever we influence mood, whether it's in a negative way, our negative moods meaning depression, or elevated moods, talking about mania, hypomania, or even psychosis, right? Whenever we modulate these moods, there's a risk that we modulate them to the point where we can't shift between moods at all, and we have this blunted flat affect. And that's one of the concerns people have when they take N-acetylcysteine. But this paper I want to talk about here is very interesting. This was actually published in 2011, and it's called N-acetylcysteine in Psychiatry, Current Therapeutic Evidence and Potential Mechanisms of Action. And here they, first of all, outline why is N-acetylcysteine so potent in influencing mood or other psychiatric illnesses. How does it even happen that this supplement reaches the brain and does all these things? And I think that's actually a very good point. And we need to find out, what the mechanisms really are. But I think it's fantastic. I think this has a lot of potential. And when we think about medications for mood, like psychiatric medications, they have a lot of side effects. It turns out that N-acetylcysteine, a supplement, will probably have less side effects. It might also have less efficacy, of course, in certain things. But I think this is actually very promising and worth looking into. So in the beginning of this paper, the most important thing here, they talk about N-acetylcysteine's role in restoring glutathione. And as we mentioned before, this is very important. Glutathione, says here, is the primary endogenous antioxidant. Glutathione neutralizes reactive oxygen and nitrogen species from the cell through both direct and indirect scavenging. And that's important when we talk about brain health here. So they think that a lot of the issues we have in terms of psychiatric disorders are dealing with inflammatory responses and oxidative species that can cause certain damages that might result in a mood disorder. So just like we have an issue with these oxidative species and inflammatory processes in the rest of our body, when we talk about diseases in the brain, according to the researchers here, we can link these to certain mood disorders. And so the role, again, here, one role, of course, is N-acetylcysteine being a precursor to glutathione. When we take N-acetylcysteine, we increase glutathione levels. Having more glutathione means we can neutralize more of these reactive oxygen species, and we can help the cell to have less inflammation. And we're talking about cells here. They talk about neurons. We talk about brain cells in this case, right? They talk about that the oral administration, as I've talked about earlier, of glutathione alone does not adequately restore glutathione levels. And again, that's because the bioavailability is very low, right? It is rapidly hydrolyzed by the liver and intestines. And penetration of glutathione through the blood-brain barrier is very poor. So glutathione doesn't get into your brain very well. Similarly, oral administration of L-cysteine, again, precursor of glutathione, has also been shown to have little effect on brain glutathione level owing to first-pass metabolism. The first-pass metabolism means you take an oral supplement, it goes into the bloodstream, and the blood vessels where it enters in the small intestine first goes to the liver. So the first pass is through the liver, and the liver is a filter. And it destroys a lot of these compounds, and the liver is a detoxifier. It's very good at taking out toxins, but unfortunately, it's also very good at taking out certain nutrients. So not much gets into the bloodstream. That's why oral administration here is pretty poor. So either of glutathione itself